Hey, what's going on, everyone? Matt Jarbo here with 3 Buck Theater. And you know who this dude is? This dude is one of the most prolific directors in Hollywood. Not only that, but one of the most prolific producers in Hollywood. This is James Wan. I've been a fan of this guy since I first saw Saw in 2003, and I've been a fan of his ever since. He's put out a litany of variety of projects and properties over the years that have all been relatively well received, some obviously better than others, but this dude definitely knows how to make a movie. And so when we start thinking about, let's say, horror movies, you kind of think about James Wan and the Conjuring franchise. Over at Warner Brothers, it's grossed over $1 billion on a very mild budget for the particular films. And so the question becomes then, what's he going to do next? Well, coming out today, we're finding out that he is in talks with to team up with Universal for a monster movie. Now, this is big news in my opinion, and I'll tell you guys why. This is big news in my opinion because, for one, this is just cool. Like, I don't care who you are. This is pretty cool. Him coming in to tackle one of the monster movies is going to be pretty great because, look, you can love the guy or hate the guy. Saw is a cultural phenomenon, or at least was a cultural phenomenon for a couple years back in the early 2000s. You've also got, Fast and Furious 7 in 2015, the first $1 billion entry into the Fast franchise. And then you've also got Aquaman, another $1 billion movie based on a character that talks to fish that no one thought was going to do $1 billion, but people in China really seem to like. So the guy knows how to kind of go into a genre and, well, really kind of beef it up, build it up, increase it. And especially if you're taking something like horror movies, he really knows how to do that. Now, this is what the article says. It says Universal Pictures is teaming up with Aquaman director James Wan on a horror thriller inspired by Universal's monster legacy. Details on the project are sparse, but Wan is set to produce the project and a director has not been set yet. Friday's announcement comes a week after the better-than-expected debut of Universal's The Invisible Man, a modern-day version of the studio's 1933 movie of the same name. Other Universal monster titles in that era include Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And those are all fun movies. I grew up watching those movies. And my favorite one with all of them together, like the Avengers of horror movies, is Monster Squad from the mid-1980s. If you haven't seen it and you have Hulu, it's currently on Hulu. If you like Goonies and you want to see the Goonies fight Dracula, the Mummy, the Werewolf, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, you're going to want to go watch Monster Squad. It's written by Shane Black. It is, I cannot express how much love I have for that movie. It's extremely high. So this is actually a very interesting development for Universal because they realize now that they've got perhaps a hit formula on their hands. So when they went to Blumhouse and they got Blumhouse on board to kind of reboot, not so much the Dark Universe, but the Universal Monsters universe, especially that they are, and this is the rumor, planning to bring in their new Epic Universe 750-acre theme park in Orlando. One of the villages is going to be Frankenstein's village. It's going to be all Universal monsters. So they are very much wanting to make this a franchise that they can build off of. And so with the success of The Invisible Man, they are trying to get in more people to do this sort of thing, to rebuild out these characters. So if I had to guess what this particular take is, it's not Invisible Man 2. It's most likely going to be Dracula or Frankenstein. It's not going to be the Mummy, and it's probably not going to be Wolfman. Maybe Creature from the Black Lagoon, but it's kind of obscure, and I would assume that Creature from the Black Lagoon would probably have to come out down the road a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, because James Wan produced the Swamp Thing TV series over on DC Universe that only had one episode before it was announced that it was going to be canceled, predominantly because of a paperwork screw up. I'm not kidding you. A paperwork screw up cost Warner's about $40 million in tax benefits. So they ended up, or tax rebates. So they ended up canceling the show because that seemed like the right course of action. And so, we that was kind of similar. The Creature from the Black Lagoon and Swamp Thing are obviously not the same, but in the theme, there are some similarities. So, I mean, it could be that, but I think that they probably would want to build off of the Dracula legacy because it's the most popular and because James Wan is producing. But James Wan has produced a bunch of other smaller, more genre-based horror films, and it could be something very similar to like Frankenstein, where it could be the story of Dr. Victor von Frankenstein creating the monster and coming into the world that way. I mean, I think the last time we got a Frankenstein movie through Universal was Van Helsing back in 2004, which Wildly underrated, by the way. Wildly underrated. I love that movie. But there was the I, Frankenstein graphic novel turned into a movie, I want to say in 2014, 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. So, I mean, we've gotten that occasionally, but it's been a while, and it's time for a reboot. They did The Wolfman back in, I want to say 2008, 2009 with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. And that was a fun movie too. But I mean, it could be that movie. We could be looking at The Wolfman. Either way, it's going to be something that's going to be low budget, definitely in a modern take, but it's not going to be The Mummy. Not after 2017. We are still so close to that. They're nowhere near. But we have been hearing talks also about The Bride of Frankenstein with Angelina Jolie. There's been talks that Bill Condon movie is still on the horizon. And that could be in part what they're working on here, provided that James Wan wants to develop that property. But you can't really do Bride of Frankenstein without doing Frankenstein first. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, if they're going to be going down that path, perhaps doing Frankenstein and then opening the door for Bride of Frankenstein would be the better scenario for creating this new Universal monster universe, right? I still think they should probably do, like, I don't know. Like, I still think that the Dark Universe was a good idea in theory, even if it did have a bit of a piss poor execution. But again, kind of like how I was just complaining about, like Disney not really looking to the future and just kind of doubling down on old things. This kind of feels like the same thing. I was complaining about Warner Brothers and how they treated DC movies and how that whole thing went to crap because we had one bad movie and they just restructured everything. And studios nowadays they're fearful of everything. Which is why I think they're going to horror, because as I've said before, horror movies will probably end up saving Hollywood as we know it, predominantly because they cost only a few $1 million and the rate of return is usually a lot higher. So you can get more bang for your buck. And Blumhouse has proven this time and time and time again, but then occasionally we do get something like Black Christmas and Fantasy Island, which come out and ultimately crash and burn. So there is that. But anyway, I am excited to see what James Wan is going to do here. I think that diving into this world is going to be fascinating, considering the fact that the next movie he's producing for Warner Brothers is going to be a horror movie set in the trench of the Aquaman universe. What we saw in the Aquaman movie, that's going to be where they set this next film. I don't quite know why. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But then again, Walter Hamada is running that division, and he was working with James Wan and took the Conjuring franchise to $1 billion franchise. And that's precisely why these things are happening the way that they're happening. And it just is, you can see Hollywood is very much coalescing around just a couple people that they hope to God are going to be able to take them into the next realm. And the rest of us are sitting here going like, what's wrong with you guys? Why don't you guys like pull your head out your butts and like actually just give us things we want to see? That aren't just market test or, aren't just focus tested, right? Anyway, those are my thoughts on this one. Those are my opinions. I'm curious to know what you guys have to say about this. Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys like this kind of content, you want to support this kind of content, you like the daily videos, consider becoming a member. Link below in the video description. $2 a month, man. Just super easy. You guys can head over to facebook.com/groups/3buck theater as a way to jump in on the action over there and just keep an eye out on your subscription box that you should be hitting the like and the bell, and I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.